I was an AM listener. I went, what's AM? Okay, in a serious note, I do know what AM is. But more importantly, we think of ministry in Kansas and in Ohio, and they founded the church here and served until 2000. Radio has been a part of Bob's life since college. He founded a ministry called Cross Power Ministries, where they travel across the country encouraging the church of that day spoke to me. This is what he did. The server at Bob Evans is coming around and taking our order.
Think. And I died and went to heaven, and I was ushered into this big room.
Well, that's easy to explain. That man was a fairly successful. Hanging onto his arm, this woman, she was all, but hanging onto his arm was one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen in my life. I mean, she was, I appreciate the invitation. I wish I was worthy of it. God has blessed me so much. A man that becomes a great. And so not only is this the last book in the Bible, often referred to as the offspring of David, the son of David. He traced his lineage back to David's kingdoms, and they all had physical Samuel. How long will you mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill your heart with the wow. And so Samuel goes to the house of Jesse to choose the next king of Israel. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. This Jesse called Abinadab and made his brethren, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon David. Says, no, that's not him either. And then boy number 3, and boy number 4, and boy number 5, and boy number 6, and he's not exactly king material. And if you read the text, especially his own father saw any, natural born leaders. Those are the guys, and they will be leaders, and don't misunderstand what I'm about to say, but they will be leaders whether they serve or honor God or not. NLBs, natural born leaders, but God hardly ever chooses NLBs. It's rare. He does occasionally. In 1 Corinthians chapter 1. And listen to what Paul says about the person, the man that God chooses to be in his presence. Here is Paul, the great apostle, who wrote almost 3/4 of the New Testament. The base, the average. I have 2 words written in my margin. That's me. Occasionally, he will choose an NBL. Occasionally. Not very often. That's not exactly the King James, but hey, babe, we need to go down to Egypt and, he was the one that was the crooked one that was always trying to. Paul the Apostle was an exception. He was obviously called to pummel your strength, all of your resources. I've got to bring you God's prime candidate for God to do something great in your life. Niall's cerebral palsy is very. All of his correspondence, all of his work, that Lyle Long, told me, he says, Bob, when I hear you, you will when you get to heaven. Ministering to thousands of people through his cerebral palsy. But the Lord looketh on the heart. History. That his heart was not a whole lot like God's. Remember that whole Bathsheba thing? Far from perfect. I mean, his life is iniquity against you. I have seen. His father saw. He didn't see what his other brothers saw. He didn't see what Samuel the prophet saw. Just this cute little kid that were born with the attributes physically, mentally, in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. We've been here in Westerville now for 34 years. We have 3 adopted children. They're all the same age. We have a son. My son was pretty well known here in Westerville, not for good things. Every police officer in Westerville knew my address. I would make sure everybody was safe. That was a big issue. And about midnight, I'd leave my house over as dysfunctional as it could possibly be. It really was. But you see, I struggle with pride. Now, you guys probably don't. Well, I struggle. But see, anything I do has got to be with God's Spirit, His strength, not ours. You don't have to be an NBL to be a man of God. In order for you to use us. But oh God, I thank you that you use the weak, you use the base, you use the morning. You could be born again by simply confessing your sin. Lord, I'm a sinner. Lord, I know you died on the cross for my sins. Right now, right this moment, come into my heart, be surrendered. Or maybe you need to be saved. Would you come? If you need to, if God didn't tell you to come, don't.